we don't have consistent electricity oftentimes, and of course that leads to technological challenges, because how do I then access and implement or even use this great technology that has been innovated when I don't have access to the network? And you find that data cost is very expensive. So yes, the tech is there, but accessing it again for me is costly as a farmer, is costly even as a consumer. So we've seen, great advancements. Of course, there's M-Pesa. I've mentioned now with AgriTech. There's a lot that are actually not coming to my mind now. There's even the Mobi platform where it costs money to actually download the actual app, but accessing it, you can also do it offline. But to summarize my answer for you is that in developing technology, it's very important that when we look to the global north, which is often the case, the technology that they're building, they do have the infrastructure for it. So in building technology, I think we need to be cognizant of the infrastructure that we have in Africa and what we can actually do to be able to start, improving that. And it's not to say that there haven't been any infrastructural improvements, but it's very important that when we're bringing in technology, that the infrastructure that is able to make use of those innovations.
Thank you very much, Nandi.
Thank you.
Yes, I think we have a hand from Yarama. I don't know if he wants to add something as a presenter also.
Hear me now. Hello. Sorry, are you hearing
Yes,
me now?
you're welcome.
Yes. The importance will only be built when we are able to empower the grassroots to actually own these technologies. We have to be able to understand how to use these technologies. So for me, yes, policies are there. Policies are actually very strong in Africa, but implementation has been very weak. I think it is time that we should be able to empower the communities to demand to become part of the drivers of these policies. The reality is now we are the people that elect the very politicians who sit down to make policies, and more often than not, in most countries, what we see is that politicians do not want to implement policies that go beyond their period. Every administration comes and wants to do something that can only be seen in his administration. This is not the way to go. Sustainability must be entrenched, and the only way sustainability can be entrenched is to make the community, the grassroots actually on the policies. So I think policy harmonization really becomes very important. Yes, there are policies in countries, and some of these policies sometimes are restrictive. Even see it, we cannot move from one country to the other within the same regions. By the time we are able to come with regionally harmonized seed policies, it will enhance transboundary movements, and people will have access to technology much more freer. Now, the other point I wanted to say also is that it is true that many technologies may be high level, but I think it's the responsibility of research to bring down the technologies and break them to the level of understanding of the rural community who are actually engaged in farming. And that's what we try to do in TAT. We take all the technologies from the CG centers that might be highly technical, but we have to bring it down to the level and interpret it in such a way that farmers can understand it. Practically what we do is that we go and demonstrate these technologies on farm with the farmers, on farm with the communities, so that the communities can see you practically putting this technology on their fields. And when you practice along with them, they're able to pick the technologies and be able to be owners of the technologies. So for me, I think the way forward is how do we synergize to make sure we have policies that are a little flexible for us to cross technologies from one country to the other, to move seeds within our regions, and then how do we synergize to make sure that we come into the communities to make demonstrations together with the communities to be able to understand the technologies and earn them. I think that's the only way we can get scaling of technologies out and farmers at community levels able to understand the technologies. Thank you.
Very much, Yarama. So I see also a hand from Marian. We can allow Marian to speak, and then we will go to the audience. There are some hands there.
Yes, I just wanted to add that it's private companies that are really going to be actually bringing these technologies to the farmers. So it's important to think about how to support the private companies like Simu Solar, like other companies that are out in the field actually going to the farms and bringing technology in an affordable, sustainable way to the farmers. So, it's not going to happen by government policy. It's not going to happen by big development organizations. It's going to happen because businesses are figuring out a way to really make bringing technology to farmers a viable business. And these businesses are pioneers and need support and need the support and policies. For example, the taxation policies and import duties that really bring the cost of equipment down. So I think there's a lot that can be done, but when you talk about how does it actually happen and who's actually getting the technology into the hands of farmers, it's private business. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Marianne. So my colleague will give the microphones to the ones who have raised their hands, so we can allow them also to ask a question. We can start with Sadi. Sadi, go ahead, you're welcome. Make your question very brief because we are also running out of time. Okay, if Sadi is having a challenge, we can welcome Adetunji. Adetunji, if you have the mic, you can speak and you can ask your question or you can give your contribution.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. And I am delighted to be part of this. I want to congratulate all the presenters. Some of them I missed, but I was able to catch up on these last two presenters. My question goes to Nandi. And I just want to appreciate the fact that Nandi mentioned the aspect of market when she was discussing organic farming as a sustainability factor for agriculture. Yes, I am happy that you mentioned market, because market is fundamental to sustainability of agricultural development interventions. And talking about markets, I want to find out from you what your experiences are in terms of access to value addition technologies, climate smart technologies, because when you talk of value chain, you start from production to the end, from technologies of production, climate smart, irrigated technology, and so on. And then the quality and standards and access to infrastructure. What is your experience with respect to some of these things? Access to technologies for value chain and access to infrastructure, because infrastructure basically is a bane of agricultural sustainability development in the third world, because where you have over 98% value addition in the advanced world, we have below 30% in Africa. And that is a big factor in sustainability of agriculture. So I would like to have your experience with respect to that. Thank you.
Sorry. Yeah, I think Adetunji, you asked your question to Nandi, you directed your question to Nandi, so I don't know if Nandi
is muted. She has, she's okay.
Sorry, Marianne, do you want to provide an assistance to that, or was this a hand that you raised earlier?
Yeah, that was a hand that I raised earlier. I didn't have a good answer.
Okay. Adetunya, you can maybe try to address your question to the other presenters if you think you can recast it and put it in a way that they can answer. It would also be useful.
Okay, basically what I try to ask Nandi is our experience, because she mentioned organic agriculture as a factor of sustainability, and she also mentioned markets. And I'm now asking, when in terms of markets, what has been our experience in value addition, talking about standards, quality of products, and infrastructure? That is basically what I ask her.
Okay, thank you. So maybe we can, I don't know, maybe you can find a one-on-one with her, but apparently she's not online for now. And we can move to the other people with questions, if you're okay with that. So we have Alan Mugalu, if you can ask your question.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much for today's deliberations. It's been very interesting hearing the different ventures and enterprises and opportunities out there. Myself, I'm from Uganda in a district called Mukono. We're farming. We're trying to implement regenerative agricultural techniques. We raise rabbits. We're planting coffee under irrigation, and adopting methods that eliminate the use of inorganic fertilizers or inorganic pesticides, fungicides, etc. For instance, we've entirely eliminated the use of herbicides on our farm through the planting of cover crops like Desmodium, long-term cover crops that suppress weeds but also fix nitrogen in the soils. However, we've faced as much as, particularly with areas such as organic pesticides, where not enough research has been carried out to find effective and potent organic alternatives to the harmful pesticides that are being sold in the market, some of which in Uganda have been banned by the UN as far back as 2004, but absolutely no activity being taken up by the regulatory organizations or regulatory people, or at least begin the fight against harmful insecticides or pesticides. So it's my question is posed to what is being done for those who have been championing organic farming, such as Nandi. What's being done in where you are in the part of the world you are, whether it's South Africa or Southern Africa? What is being done to promote particularly a complete shift to organic farming practices, particularly with pesticides? Thank you.
Hi, can I answer this
Thank you very
question,
much.
or was it directed to a specific person?
Yes, it was directed also to you, and we had a previous question, I think, around standards and other regulatory environment that can also support organic.
Okay, yes. It seems that my connectivity is a bit choppy.
Africa can also
Can you
address
hear
those
me?
too.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you loud and
Okay.
clear.
Yes, we can hear you, Nandi.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I'm just going to answer that question of what's been done in South Africa to champion or promote the uptake of organic agriculture. So, like I mentioned, in the forefront of that is the pollinator program, which has been spearheaded by, the South African Organic Sector Organization and PGS. But over and above that, we found that, having high level engagement is not sufficient because, you're not able to actually access the people that you need.
Sorry, Nandi, we cannot hear you.
We've lost Nandi, Frank.
Yes, I think she has a network challenge. So maybe, Nandi, what you can do is you can use the chat to try to provide your response. And in the meantime, my colleague Gift is going to use also the chat to share a very brief poll that we have some questions that we want to ask our participants for today in terms of how are you rating this particular webinar and what kind of interventions or interactions are you going to do after this webinar. So you can kindly look at our chat. You can look at the chats and there will be some specific messages there where we just need you to click. It's not a very lengthy explanation that we need. The response is a yes or no question. So we ask you also to participate in that particular poll. So in the meantime, I think we can very much apologize us for those technical challenges we have in responding to your questions, but we will share the presentations which have the contacts of these presenters and you can engage further in case you need any clarifications from them. So we have Godi in the line. If Godi, you can ask your question very briefly so that we do with these questions and answers session. Godi, are you there?
I give unmute.
So if Godi is
mic. He's on, but he's saying the mic is muted.
Yeah, Godi. He has the mic and he can unmute it to speak.
Thank you, and thanks for unmuting my mic. Yeah, basically my question goes to Marianne on the water technology. Great technologies, great products, much appreciated. I'm from Uganda, and I would love to hear Marianne's experience in terms of the quality of the solar panels and the pumps, because in Uganda here, few people go out of their way to buy a few solar products, but they are disappointed in terms of shelf life, in terms of delivery. Secondly, where I come is a place of high altitude. So I find in terms of the pump delivery, in terms of height, it becomes a challenge. And where you are able to get a product, the cost is prohibitive. You can't get in there. What is your experience and how are you addressing to that? Then last component part of that is robbery and vandalism. How is Sinosora playing around using maybe Internet of Things or artificial intelligence that they can help the user of the solar panel and the pump, and maybe there's a chip that if somebody stole it, at the click of a button or a click of my phone, I'd be able to know that, hey, my solar panel was moved from point A to point B. Thank you very much for the great presentation. Back to you.
Yeah, thanks for those questions. We do import our own solar panels, so we have good quality solar panels. I know there are some marginal solar panels on the market, and you do have to be careful about that. In terms of elevation change, it can sometimes be a big challenge if you are going, up into the mountains and going on a very steep slope. So you have to look at the total elevation change. And if the total elevation change is more than about 160 meters, then typically our solar pumps are not going to be able to do that for you. There are some pumps that can do that, certainly, and the custom system could be arranged. But in general, most of our systems look at the total elevation change from the source of water to the top of the farm to be somewhere around 160 meters, not more than that. So again, you can do staged with multiple pumps, but that's sort of our rule of thumb. And price is always a factor. This equipment is expensive. The nice thing about solar panels is that you're never spending money on fuel. So you have to look at what you might have spent to run fuel and a fuel pump against the cost of the solar. And what we're seeing is that for most of our farmers, if they're replacing a fuel pump, they have saved more than they would have been spending within the 2 years that we financed the systems. So even every month, they're basically paying less money than they were when they were buying fuel for a fuel pump. And of course, fuel pumps are notoriously bad in terms of needing a lot of maintenance, and the solar pumps really need very little maintenance. So the cost, the cost is high, it's true, and really without financing, it's difficult to do it. And there are some limitations. You might not find the biggest pump. We also have a system whereby if you have a fuel pump, we could replace a generator with the solar array. So then any pump that you're using, no matter what the elevation change, if you have if you have an electric pump that's already serving the need, we could replace the generator with a solar array that could run that pump. So there are a number of different options. We do give 2-year financing on everything. In terms of security, we put the array up on poles to make them a little more difficult to run away with, but it's true that security really has to rest with the farm owner. We haven't got any fancy security systems other that we can see if the system stops working with our remote monitoring, but it's not so easy to track things if they're stolen. So I'm afraid that really has to rest with the owner for now. Thanks for your questions.
Thank you, Marianne. So we can go to the next person who asked the question. I think it's going to be Jauhar Ali. Kindly make your question brief. Jauhar. Okay, so if Jauhar is not able to access the mic, maybe we can ask Dr. Mpaphia, if you can ask your question. Dr. Mpaphia. Okay.
Frank, the doctor is asking to be unmuted. I don't know.
We already enabled his mic, so he can try to unmute now and speak. Dr. Mpaphia, you can click on the mic icon to unmute, because we can also we cannot unmute from our end. You are the one who can do that. Challenge, I see you are chatting. Maybe you can put your question on the chat and you can direct it to the presenter that you want to give you a response.
Frank, I see people are dropping off. I think we need to conclude.
Yes. So again, apologies for people who have had any questions, but they could not ask due to, I don't know, connection problems. I would just ask you to respond. I see only 14 people have given their now, but you can kindly go through our gift is going to resend the questions again so that you can be able to see them. Kindly provide your responses on how you see the training materials were relevant to you, and if you're going to do any further interventions with the presenters. That is all we just want to gauge. And if you have any other recommendations, you can also put them in the chat. But also in the meantime, I want to welcome you to register your products. EABC has a web portal that we have launched recently, and I've shared a message. I don't know how it reads on the charts, but we have an Agri-Invest profiles and B2B directory portal that we have launched as EABC, and we want the main reason for this portal is to register your products, but also to give you an opportunity to have a B2B intervention with people who are putting their products and their projects in that particular portal. So kindly use the portal to register any products or projects that you currently have. So just for the word of closing, I think we can welcome our CEO to do the closing and to thank our participants for participating in this webinar today. You're welcome, Mr. CEO.
Thank you very much, Frank. And really, I want to record my deepest appreciation to all the presenters for the excellent presentation, and also our esteemed members, the participants, those who have provided insights. As Frank mentioned, I think this is an ongoing intervention. We want to really hear from you. We really request you to take your time to fill the questionnaire shared, but also interact with our website in terms of giving suggestion. I want really to thank our partner, the funder, the one that I've been working with, and I want to thank Lydia for always really providing the support, and BMZ for their continued support for this initiative. So there are a number of key takeaways. As I mentioned, I think we've, from Nandi and everyone, we need to review our policies, ensure that the policies are well understood by the farmers, smallholder farmers. Again, we need to leverage the Continental Free Trade Area as a tool in terms of boosting agricultural productivity, but also ensure sustainable development. We need to also look into the financing, the green and inclusive transition aspect. It is important also we review the regulatory framework and with a view to reduce or eliminate transaction costs that really hinder the farmers, hinder all the actors along the value chain to take advantage of the opportunities. I will not labor so much on improving soil fertility. It has been mentioned from different presenters, but also leverage the current technologies. How do we really ensure that? But above all, we need to ensure organic as Africa, given that 60% of our land is the arable land, very fertile, with minimal use of chemicals. So I think we just to ensure that we continue to promote organic agriculture vis-a-vis the BMOs, the modified crops. I also took note of engagement with a number of actors, insurance, banks, who are piquing a lot of interest within the sector. So let's work together. And I think my team will also share with you some of the good analysis we've done on investment opportunity in agriculture, especially for investors who are here, who have participated. And again, there is still enormous opportunities to develop our sector, and also to ensure we protect the sector from global economic shocks. We heard about climate change, the issues, and I think there are tools, Nand mentioned a number of tools to wither the effect of climate change. So I want to really thank everyone, thank our presenters, thank our funders, thank the EABC team, Frank and Gift and Patrick for steering this. So I want to wish you a very good afternoon, and I wish you all the best. And really count on us, count on EABC for our continuous engagement, but also sharing the vital information that would help you, whoever want to make a decision. But we also want to continue enhancing our engagement, collaboration, while we strive to address some of our binding constraints in the sector. Asanteni sana, thank you very much. I wish you the best. I think, Patrick, we need to have a group photo with everyone, and including the presenters. If they can unmute their mic and their video for our record.
Okay, so just a minute for Gift to allow and to be able to take a picture, a group photo. Welcome everyone to Open Mirrors. But also in the meantime, I also would like to urge each and every one of us, if you think you have a presentation that you click on agriculture, we welcome you to engage, and we can do future webinars with you on your solution or whatever proposal that you think we can have together as partners. So you can put on your cameras, please. Okay, so thank you very much for your participation, everyone, especially our presenters, and for making the time. I believe we can have a future collaboration, and also you can engage the participants here. I see some of them were very much interested on the solutions that were provided. So we urge you to engage the presenters on the solution and the ideas that they have, so that you can be able to access the solutions. So asanteni sana, and I wish you a very wonderful afternoon. Regarding the polls, I think you can just see in our chats, and also continue to provide your responses on the polls that were shared by my colleague. I believe some people were also French speaking and they wanted us to have services. Unfortunately, we could not provide that. I hope we can improve on the webinars in our next engagements.
Thank you.